I'm very interested in why students, well, some adults with autism have grown up to get a PhD. Yeah, some. While others have the mental capacity of a newborn baby. Why does it happen? Vaccines are the cause of it. Why do people think vaccines are the cause of it? Oh my God. I'm gonna wade into a minefield here, but let's do it. Let's do it. I got support of the best chat in the world. I'm not ingratiating the chat, but let's tackle this one. All right, multi-part question. Multi-part. Yeah. I think you nailed it. Wow. Yeah, you're right. That's basically it. You're right. I guess the only other point I was going to make is, well, there's a history behind how that vaccine thing started. I don't know if people care. Somebody basically had fraudulent research in the Lancet, and the Lancet was very slow to retract it. They tend to be very egotistical and defensive, even after all the damage it caused. Yeah, I don't know if it's worth getting into that because I know people are very charged up about that stuff, and I understand. Like I spent my life, I spent the last, I don't know, decade and a half in really intense education. If I spent the last decade and a half in something else, like doing it intensely, like practicing playing football and working on cars for fun, I have to rely on other people for expertise in this stuff. And that's how everybody is. Nobody's an expert in everything. We all have limited attention. So if I'm getting information, I'm a parent now and I have kids, and it's true, vaccines do cause people to sometimes get a little like flu-like symptoms. They get a little sick. I know they're starting to report that with the new vaccines. Like some people got a little flu-like. Somebody wrote that in the chat, I think, or in the Reddit comments about having a little bit of elevated heart rate and stuff. It's well known with the medical community that happens. Like you're provoking an immune response, so that antibodies can be manufactured, B cells can be, can multiply and store that antibody, and then you have that response later. That's a very comprehensive immune system response. So yeah, sometimes your temperature gets a little elevated, you get a little heart rate elevation, get a little cytokine reaction. But from the parent's point of view, again, who has no education in this stuff because they lived a different life, and they got their kids, and they see. I mean, if you've never seen people with autism, it's a horrible thing. It's severe autism, and I have it in my family, and so you have kids. You're worried about that. They look brand new. They look healthy. And you hear the story about the person getting a little flu-like after getting the vaccine, and then you hear all the stuff in the news or whatever, and from celebrities or whatever, talking about how it causes vaccine, and you can't trust the authorities, and the authorities screw up all sorts of things all the time, and they cover things up. So then you're like, this could be another thing that they're covering up. I'm not going to risk my kids. I get it. I get how people can have that opinion. They're like, don't give my kids this thing. I'm not risking it. I understand. And you deal with this all the time when I was in clinic a long time ago, and you explain it as best you can. And a lot of times people, when you're talking to them in person, they change their mind, because ultimately I'm not invested. I'm just trying to give you the information, and I'm saying, if you want this, we can do this for you. But if you don't, it's your choice. And a lot of times people will flip on that. I understand it's a more involved societal question with, we start wrecking our crowd immunity, which is kind of a cool perk. Less and less people get vaccinated. MMR or mumps, rubella, and measles start coming back. I think that started happening in Europe a couple of years ago. These diseases we sort of defeated into the ground, like we wreck them. That's kind of a cool thing. Some of the infectious disease stuff we've conquered in the last 100 years as humans, it's cool. And it's a little like, if you're a little more intellectually minded, it's a little like, when we start losing ground on it for seemingly no reason. But everything's a complex negotiation. So Yeah, I would summarize as general ignorance, but but yeah, I don't know. It's that this people should just tune into the stream. I don't want to write all this out. This is kind of exhausting after a while trying to write everything out. I might wrap up this AMA soon. I don't know. And then in terms of the autism thing, range of autism. Yeah, that's I think that gets out of too. The only thing I was going to add to that, so the question being again, I'm very interested in why adults with autism have grown up to get a PhD while others have mental capacity of a newborn baby. There is sort of I almost said orthogonality. There's an independence between the range of autism and IQ. There's some correlation, but like psychologists will separate them out as separate things. So you can be high IQ and fairly autistic. You can be low IQ. So autism is weird because it's a little of a social construct, but it's also so like if somebody is autistic and dysfunctional, we tend to think they just have severe autism, but some of them are actually just moderately retarded, mentally retarded, severely mentally retarded. There's some range on the IQ of mental retardation, and oh yeah, there's like a new. Literally, this is I don't know what the word is now. I'm literally when I was in medicine, that's what we said, but I know people are like, yeah, MR, mental retardation. I know people won't like to use this word, intellectual disability. They have some fancy word now. Yeah, I guess they're still using that mostly in medical. So, okay, cool. I just don't want to step on anybody's toe there. But yeah, that's independent from autism in theory, as best as we can tell. But autism isn't really well characterized either. So it's possible that they just have lower IQ, higher IQ, lower other temperamental or personality traits we don't quite understand, like whatever causes people to work really hard and some people to, be comfortable staying at home until their 40s and not having a job. I don't know. And I'm not trying to throw judgment. I'm saying we just don't necessarily know. Like that's another axis. It's a temperamental axis. So people, they could just have a bad combination and be mildly autistic and still, yeah. He's talked about it so long. I feel like I'll just give him a short